back, and it's time for us to now have a look at the newspapers, what is being reported this very morning. And of course, we are just going to go through the top stories on the top page of the day today. And starting us off, we're going to begin with the Standard. And I see IEBC here saying, we are in a crisis, only court can save us. So we have delays in recruiting commissioners for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has come back to bite the country. So the CEO says that the delimitation of boundaries process is stuck after all deadlines were missed, and they are waiting for the top court to give an advisory opinion on what happens next. That's a story on page 4. And I also see still on the top story here today on the Standard, I see the top page that is Gachagua runs into funeral goons. So from what I see here, former deputy president was attacked by thugs while attending a funeral service in Limuru yesterday. He escaped unhurt, but his convoy was stoned with his security getting injured and vehicles damaged. He laid the blame on state operatives. This is a story on page 8, and he is saying, we will not be scared away from standing with Kenyans who need us to support them in their moments of need. We just expect such a terrible moment of shame will not repeated. This is Rigathi Gachagua on the same. And still on the top page, I see Interpol holds 24 Kenyans for cyber fraud. So the suspects arrested in the country were implicated in an online credit card fraud linked to losses of 1.1 billion shillings. That's a story on page 8 of the Standard. And the business page today on the Standard, I see AU private sector to do projects, and that's covered on the business page 34. Mixed bag for Ogamba's 100 days as CS. This is the story that is taking the page 2. Still on the top page, Parastato's heads in soup over e-Citizen platform. That's a story on page 6 that you can look at from the Standard. And on the sports page today, Reds move in right direction. This is a story on page 48, and you can get to grab that newspaper, that is the Standard, for more. And now let's go down to the Daily Nation, that today is covering something here. This man Omtata, Busia Senator Okoiti Andrew Omtata, is a man on a mission, buoyed by support from the youth during the recent anti-government protest, and he has set his sights on the highest seat on the land. But first, he has formed a team to advise him on the chances in the 2027 State House contest. And I see here, will the activist turned politician maneuver the rough and tumble of Kenyan's politics? Does he have the financial muscle to mount a presidential campaign? Look at that story on page 4 and also 5. And I see here still on the story that we have covered on the Standard about Rigathi Gachagua being attacked. He says hired goons were after me, claims Gachagua as chaos erupts at funeral. So the huge rock that smashed the window of my car was aimed at me, and I was lucky not to be hit. Oh my, this is quite something. And look at that story on page 8 of the Daily Nation. And moving on, I see climb down, Adani deals legally terminated, Mbadi tells House team. And I see National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi assures MPs that taxpayers will not incur any cost over the cancellation of the deals. Indeed, it is what many are hoping for. Page 16 is that story. And county payrolls boss who inflicted his pay, put wife on salary to lose ill-gotten wealth. And I see here that former payroll manager ordered to forfeit more than 24 parcels of land, 2 tractors and a motor vehicle to the government. This is a story covered on page 3 of the Daily Nation. And The Voice today is covering a very interesting story that, of course, we have been on for quite some time now, the GBV Days of Activism. And the top story, of course, course, is GBV does not define us. That's a story covered on the DN2 today. You can have a look at it. And moving on, still on the top page, something else that has been covered, of course, is about sports, and you can also look at that. And of course, we see also public rights defender says he's up to the task, even as his critics pour cold water on his quest that is on this man, Tata. So you can look at that story that is on the Daily Nation and covered very well. And of course, you can get more information even as we highlight some of these things and more news on Hope FM at the top of every hour. And right here at Hope TV, 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., we have Dira and also Newswatch consecutively. So you can definitely catch up with us. Right about now, let's now have a look at the video of the day.